All right, the U.S. inauguration, which comes in its traditional colorful displays of the beauty, the resilience, and might of America's democracy, will go down in history as one political transition in the world's strongest democracy. Well, this is no doubt a new dawn after one of the fiercest battles for the survival of America. All right, I'm delighted to be joined here on Prime Time as we continue with the issues that has to do with the inauguration of Trump, former Deputy Ambassador to the U.S., Ambassador Hassan King, on Arise Prime Time, and I also have Professor Kenife, Development Economist, Lead Consultant, ECOWAS Commission. Gentlemen, glad to have you on this historic day in America after Trump's inauguration. I think I should start with you, Ambassador. Let me just reiterate the statement Tinubu made, the president made. He said he extends his congratulations to Trump, expressing trust of Trump expressing trust that Trump will bring the world closer to prosperity and peace. What do you make of that statement by the president?
Thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. Sorry, I didn't get your name. To start with, my name is Ambassador Hassan Mohammed Hassan, but Hassan King is what my colleagues do call me. And in the diplomatic nomenclature, there is nothing like deputy ambassador. You are an ambassador and you are an ambassador, but you can be deputy head of mission. Thank you. So, President Trump has assumed office for the second time in the United States. And he comes with myriad of issues. And he is determined to bring peace to the world and prosperity. That aspect mentioned by our president is very apt. You get what you see what you get, because with him, no pretenses. He goes to the facts of the issues and he gets solutions. Just like what he did, he claims his role was very vital in the Hamas-Israeli conflict. Within a very short time, Biden administration has been on that case for 6-7 months, but his presence, I believe, worked towards that, towards the resolution, and we are now having a relative peace and a cessation of hostilities, which is good. And he mentioned in his speech that he will make the world a peaceful place to live in. And I believe we can trust him for that.
All right, well, I don't know about, this has been ongoing. It's not that you plant a seed, it grows. You water it, it grows. So this issue of Gaza has been ongoing by the Biden administration. Qatar and Egypt were responsible until they got it. I mean, Trump hasn't even entered office when he came, So I don't know what I want you to be calling Trump in that, but you probably have a word on that. Nigeria Senator, on the other hand, Sani, he labels Trump a disruptor whose presidency poses significant challenge to the world order.
Well, I think our president is right in what he said. The expectation that he could do so much is there and always will be there. As African country, we benefit from the goodwill of America, especially through AGOA, and that has been helpful. And Trump extended it in his tenure, and we hope that he will continue to. And there are many other things that we could reasonably expect to get from him. In terms of what Senator Sani said, well, there are two sides of Trump. He's actually playing on the second side of Trump. I remember the Davos starting today. One of the reports there said that the likelihood of a global trade war is about 68% from there. And that means that some of the actions that he's going to take is not going to be trade war between America and China anymore. It's going to be global. Because when he's now saying he's going to impose tariff and then even going to go to as much as 100%, and when he's actually said if you try to do away with dollar, then it's going to impact. So that is global. So it's going to provoke much more reaction than the window that he's looking at. It's going to be far more, because there are a group that are determined not to have anything to do with dollar anymore, and they are taking rapid steps. These BRICS are taking very rapid steps to make sure that they actualize that vision. So the issue is how quickly will he come, and then what the quantum of his, all of that. But the devil is going to be in the detail. And it's very early to predict what will happen. But there will be repercussions on fiscal, monetary policy, global trade disruptions. There are domestic policies. There's going to be ramification of his policy across both in America and globally.
Both in America and globally. When Sani was talking, he was actually referring to his leadership style, of nationalism. He just held a speech where he talked about America first. I mean, that's right. Not in doubt. He's talking about America first. And then his business-oriented approach to leadership, some say he will be feared, loved, some he will be loved and face resistance by allies and spies, like he was saying a while ago. Let me refer to what Christy Freeland said. Christy Freeland is contesting for Prime Minister in Canada. Trump has had a spat between Canadians, the president, the prime minister, and of course Trump. She said Trump is an existential threat to Canada during the launch of her bid for prime minister. She's pledging dollar to dollar retaliation.
Yes. The speculation has been he is issuing a kind of threats, but Donald Trump is such a person that he will want to scare you. When you stand your ground, he will want to negotiate with you. Don't forget, he is the author of The Art of the Deal, and he practices what he preached in that book, The Art of the Deal. So I don't see US and Canada going to war over anything.
He even talked about Canada becoming the 51st state of America.
Yeah.
And particularly, I think it was a senator, she said instead that I think it's a state, California should be Canada's state instead. You mentioned the issue of global war. Let's discuss tariffs, the issue of tariffs, which experts are saying could have drastic and harmful effects on the U.S.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there's a question of retaliation from countries like China.
Well, just take it one by one. Look at the last trade war he kicked out between and who suffered most. It's still Americans, because they are the ones that have that insatiable appetite to import from China. And these prices are cheap. Americans are concerned about price. Price of food, price of fuel, they will get rid of you as a president. So that pinches their pocket. Now you are now turning it to a global response. And you're going to get a global response. And let me tell you something. America has cornered 25% of world GDP. 60% of global debt are in dollars. 59% of global forex are in dollars. That is reserves, foreign reserves. Then 88% of transactions, financial transactions globally, are in dollars. But all of these figures are all trending down. That's why I'm saying that the world view that Donald Trump is describing has actually moved on. That train has left. I'm telling you. Now you come to the what he could do. I'm glad you have mentioned how Canada is responding.
Yeah.
They're ready for tit for tat. As I say, China has two challenges in front of them. One challenge is how to contain Trump and his tariff, and they will fight to finish. The second one is, irrespective of what happens between them and Trump, they are pursuing a rigorous agenda of displacement. And that agenda is real, because they are garnering more population on the side of BRICS.
All right, just not interrupting you, continue from where you stopped. Trump is right there. One of the promises he made, he's right there about to sign executive orders. I mean, he mentioned that he will sign 100 executive orders the first day in office, and that is what he's just about right now, getting set to do. There are some other orders. I think it makes about 200, but executive orders that are bound by law, he's about to sign those others.
Well, I'm not going to discuss it now. I think it was unfortunate that he did that. We won't discuss it now. There's plenty of time to discuss it.
Thank you very much, guys.
Should we go to lunch?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Head to lunch.
Ready for lunch? Okay. Thank you. All right.
That was 3 times the number of appointments you did in 2017, sir. You did one. Plenty of time. Just getting started.
A lot of good work to do our own closure. So where are you going to stop it? It's good counsel.
Trying to look at your documents.
That's the one they keep reading.
Thank you. That was great. That was great. That was great. Standing ovation.
I liked it.
Signing the executive bills there, that's Trump there walking away. I still have in my studio here Ambassador Hassan Mohammed. I'm right now.
Right.
And of course, Professor Ken, if I stopped
Yes,
you, I paused you halfway, so you can continue.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that China has two-pronged strategies. One is to contain Donald Trump, because the world view that Donald Trump was painting today, it has moved on. It's moved on completely. Because you have a BRICS-led movement that has captured over 50% of the world population.
I was going to come to
that have got
Taking
to
it up
over 40% of world GDP. And there are 3 items on the agenda. One, to ramp up gold as an alternative to dollar. 2, they all have a heavy target on the gold reserves for all the members. And then, of course, they have much of the production as also in that territory. Then 2, they're looking for single currency.
Yeah.
You cannot stop that. It's not like ECOWAS currency that we've been struggling for 10, 20, 30. No. They're serious about that. Number 3, China is pushing for swap with alacrity. They've done one with us in 2018. They're doing one now, and our president has said that 2 billion is too small. Increase it, and I support the president. Yeah. They should go to 5-6 billion, and I've given interviews here on it. Then you have other regional programs like ECOWAS moving to single currency. You have Africa, Pan-Africa Payments and Settlement System, PAPS. All of these things are excluding dollar from dominating the transactions. That is all about it. So all of these trajectories will not be stopped. Storm cannot stop all of these movements. They're all moving away from the vision that he's painting.
All right, moving away from the vision that is painting, it looks like, I don't know what I could want to say, he's probably running behind time, that the world seems to be running ahead of him. But then, Ambassador, what should Africa and Africans expect from a Trump administration that once referred to Africa and some other nations like El Salvador, I think Mexico was included, a shithole?
Yes. When it comes to America, whatever policy they will embark upon, the president must have made it very clear in his campaign trail that he will do such, and such. Donald Trump has not made any concrete statement on Africa. And I believe what Africans will expect will be those that are in that country illegally. They will be deported. That one is certain. And he will, when he talks of a peaceful world, maybe you will assume that he will include Africa. So since we are part of the world, it will be something that we think he will, but generally, Africa has not featured very well in all their programs.
All right. Well, you mentioned deportation. He talks about using the military assets for his deportation program. Some in America are even talking about the cost of deportations. And some are saying, why would you use... In fact, the talk is that Trump always trumps up the fact that criminality has heightened because of immigrants.
That's right.
But the data shows that that's not true.
That is fact.
Out of the 11 million, about 11 million immigrants, I think they said about 500 something, commit atrocities. And this is not particularly from the people who are immigrants who have been paying tax over time. So how are you going to handle that? How are you going to use military against your people, Prof?
Well, certain things are easier said than done. In terms of extradition of sending them home, yeah, I'm sure he's going to do that because there are about 1.2 million undocumented immigrants that have actually been at the point of you just have to go, but they have not gone. And I know that Africa will get no less than 10% of those.
If not 50.
But the fact of the matter is that if you get rid of 1.2 million immigrants who are contributing to low labor costs, your labor cost is going to go up.
That's true.
That is without a doubt. And it is in one of the statistics that I have, all the parameters they have looked at on the American domestic economy. The first one is wage increase. Definitely, when 1.2 million are going away, I'm not saying they should stay, but the wage increase will go up significantly. When you are raising
the
tariff
on the Blue Sea.
Yeah, even if you set up an what do you call it, external revenue service, whatever, you can set them up and then impose your tariff. But all of those tariffs, they will still come in, but American citizens will pay for those. So there will be inflation.
Certainly.
Prices will go up, and there will be inflation. So you're going to have inflation coming from wage increase. You have to have inflation coming from prices of goods rising. You're also going to have food inflation too. Food inflation will also come in because of the amount of food that they import from their neighboring ones, and many others. And then, of course, the energy. He's going to push out drill, baby drill. He's going to push out more and more and more crude. That would bring down the price of crude without a doubt. But you will also have to see the repercussion. So all of these measures are going to hit. The tax rate is going to go down. Definitely, because he started doing that before. So tax rate will go down, which means there will be a need for more revenue. So there will be more borrowing. There will be more borrowing. And America borrows the most in the world, over many trillion. And the funny thing is that they borrow all those money from countries that are doing well, and then they pay low interest.
Because the world is dollarized.
It's dollarized. But the thing is this, America is never going to pay their debt.
No, it's never.
Because they print more dollars.
Yes.
But the more you antagonize those countries, they're not going to be lending money to you. Because they know the fiscal situation that you are putting them. You are locking them into higher debt, and then you are denying them the capital that they needed to invest elsewhere in other countries that they want to do business with. China will not be giving that money anymore. They rather put them in Africa, build infrastructure, strengthen their relationship, develop, give their companies.
Belt Initiative.
Yeah, so some of these things are easier said than done. Look at TikTok.
Yeah.
They blocked it on Friday, on Saturday, then he pleaded, and then they switched back again. We will see all these reversals. They will take place
immediately.
The vision that is painted, as I said, his world view has moved on. It's not the world that he's describing that he's actually facing, and he knows that.
All right. You're still watching Prime Time. It's a special edition. We're talking Trump today. It's his inauguration. There will be an inaugural luncheon. Yeah, we'll just take a breather, and when we get back, we're looking to that inaugural, Trump's inaugural luncheon. Don't go away.
Please welcome members of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Speaker of the House, the Honorable Mike Johnson, accompanied by Mrs. Johnson, Senate Democratic Leader, the Honorable Charles Schumer, accompanied by Mrs. Weinschall Schumer, House Majority Leader, the Honorable Steve Scalise, accompanied by Mrs. Scalise, and House Democratic Leader, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries.
I'm going to have you back. You're still watching Arise Prime Time. Now, what we'll do, take perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. Now, let's go to that. Before I continue with my guest in the studios, we go to that inaugural luncheon. Yeah, that's it, that Trump is holding.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, the Honorable Donald John Trump, and Mrs. Trump.
I have a feeling people are very hungry, so I'm going to get this started. Mr. President and Madam First Lady, Mr. Vice President and Madam Second Lady, my colleague Senator Fisher, distinguished guests including the Speaker, Leader Jeffries, and Senate Leaders Thune and Schumer, on behalf of the United States Congress, welcome to the 60th inaugural lunch. Big surprise, we are featuring Nebraska beef and Minnesota apples for dessert. We are here in Statuary Hall, where these luncheons have taken place since President Reagan's first inauguration in 1981, and where the House of Representatives once met over 150 years ago. That would be before you were born, Mr. Speaker. In 1864, after the new House wing of the Capitol was built, and in the midst of the Civil War, Congress dedicated this chamber to host statues chosen by every state. Walking into the hall, we all passed under the arch, holding the marble Car of History clock. The statue shows Cleo, the Greek muse of history, holding a book to record events as they happen. And as you can see, she's heard a lot of stuff. And as she rides her chariot forward into the future, she looks behind her to remember the past. She remains here as she has for hundreds of years, a reminder that history will remember the events of the present, and it is on us to write that history right now. Speaking of art, the painting right here before you, I chose this painting for this lunch this summer, and it's titled American Horizon. It's by Jane Wilson, who grew up on her family farm in Seymour, Iowa. Coming from the middle of our country, Senator Fisher and I both like the painting because the artist is from America's heartland, but the horizon could easily be Florida, Mr. President. I will also note that this is the first time in history we are featuring the work of a woman artist at this lunch, and we thank the Art Institute of Chicago for their assistance. Looking at the vast open landscape of this painting, we're drawn to the bottom of the frame where the land or the water, depending on where you're from, meets the sky, and the horizon endures. The enduring horizon is especially meaningful for us today as we mark our enduring democracy as we approach its 250th anniversary. It's a reminder that what's over the horizon is our next chapter. And it is my prayer that the people in this room can write that chapter together. I'd now like to ask U.S. Senate Chaplain Dr. Barry Black, and we thank God he is back with us and in good health, to deliver the invocation, after which lunch will be served. Thank you.
Let us pray. King of kings and Lord of lords, whose kingdom is above all earthly kingdoms, and who judges all lesser sovereignties, look with favor upon President Donald John Trump and Vice President James David Vance. Empower them with the wisdom and courage needed for our times. Protect them from the vicissitudes and challenges that obstruct the making of a world of justice, peace, and righteousness. Lord, give them a deep desire to do their best for our country and world, and a determination to act in ways pleasing to you. Preserve their families in health and strength by your grace and power. Bless now this luncheon as each of us finds your grace sufficient for every need. We pray in your sovereign name. Amen.
All right, you're still watching this special edition of Prime Time. You're still watching this special edition of Prime Time. I still have in the studio here with me Ambassador and Prof. Kenife. That was the luncheon there. That done with. To you, Ambassador, Trump says he will increase oil drilling. I think we mentioned that a little bit.
Right.
I think oil drilling in the U.S. What impact do you see this having on countries, especially like Nigeria, that is crude dependent? And then, of course, OPEC. Because he says, drill. That's how he puts it. So what impact will this have on a country like Nigeria that's dependent on oil? And then, of course, the OPEC.
Good. When it comes to Nigeria, the oil we produce, the Brent crude is different and is the best the world over. So as far as Trump will continue drilling and drilling and drilling, he's not going to get the best. So that might not, it might impact on us, but not very severe. As regards OPEC, there are nations in OPEC that are producing something similar.
Okay, to Americas?
Yes, or even below that grade. Those countries might be impacted. And in America, there is what they call fracking.
Yeah, fracking.
Okay, so in that fracking, the process of fracking is very expensive. And it's even prohibitive for them, because once you produce more, the price will fall and your cost of production will fall below the cost of production, so it's not economical. So it's a mixed kind of basket. So he will, I'm sure, will want to moderate his ambition. He's saying this because it's a campaign season. And it was a campaign season.
He repeated it?
Yeah, he repeated it, but it's not practical.
What do you think, Prof?
There are a few things here, actually. One is America is the largest producer of crude in the world.
Yes.
Without a doubt. And yes, from what you said, the unit cost of production of crude goes up the more you stay on that well, if you are fracking, because it costs more to extract so it's more, but they are opening up the fields. It's going to allow them to go other fields. So that is the advantage that he's now going to remove the restriction from Biden to say to them, go around, prospect more, and then do more. So that will compensate. But they also have huge reserves, remember. And throughout the period of his presidency, the first presidency, prices of crude were down. And it's because of oversupply.
That's true.
And that is going to be the consequence of this. Now, Nigeria, incidentally, we've gone up a bit more on our production volume. And even though we have a higher quality crude, the general drop in the price will still affect us.
It will.
And the benchmark price of $75 per barrel in our fiscal strategy paper is not going to fly.
No,
because that price, what we see as likely to be the price of crude going forward for the next 2 years will be around 70, 72, 73. That's around where it will be. And you cannot have a budget which benchmark is much higher than what the actual price is going to be.
That's right.
So it will be bogus. You means you are going to be, because what happens is this: you populate the budget with those predictions, and then you spend all that money on current expenditure, and the capital is always in very low pecking order. So that's why it's the capital that we're going to suffer. So we have to have a realistic budget.
Yeah, I think the National Economic Society talked about bringing it down.
It has to come down because
of the fragility of the oil market.
Yeah, and for two reasons. There must be a headroom, a reasonable headroom between the benchmark price and the prevailing price of crude.
That's true.
Because that headroom goes to excess crude account. And from there, you have accretion to reserves. So they have two major functions to do. I don't come and write this off, and this we don't know. It has a very important. And you notice that governors were not getting money throughout the last 3 years. We're not getting money from the excess crude.
That's
all
true.
Right. Some real controversial statements. So we can't talk about Trump and his administration without mentioning this. One by one, that will address them. He says he will rename the Gulf of Mexico. It will now be the Gulf of America. Let me just add straight away the issue of Panama. Molino, the president of Panama, actually rebuked Trump when Trump said, we're going to take over we're going to take over the Panama Canal. And Trump says the reason he's taking it over is because China is involved in it. But that does not hold true. China is not involved. I think it's a subsidiary of Hong Kong-based CK Hutchison Holding, you know. So these two that Trump is touting, what's your sense of it? Take over Panama Canal. The president of Panama has said that is rubbish. You can't do that. Panama Canal still remains and belongs to Panama. He made it absolutely clear. And then this Gulf of Mexico being called the Gulf of America.
Panama Canal, Panama as a nation is a sovereign country and a member of the United Nations. America will make herself an outlaw when it decides to take over Panama, because that's international lawlessness. And he will be rebuked. And I believe he's just saying it for saying sake. But when it comes to practical application of his ideas, he's not going to fly. Mexico, he is so worried about Mexico, Mexican immigrants, Mexican criminals, Mexican everything about Mexico. So what he's saying about Mexico has similarities to Canada, because the three countries are amongst themselves, they are the biggest trade partners to the United States.
Yeah.
So how can he do that? Everything will be impacted. So I don't see him doing what he said he would do, because the Americans will go against him, because he's going to turn their entire livelihood upside down.
Prof. Ken,
Yeah.
the team of Trump has drafted a slate of pardons. He actually said everybody will be very happy with decision on just 6 hostages. I mean, you know about the just 6 hostages.
He's going to release everybody. Just a blanket one. That's
Yes,
all I think.
that's what he said.
But I need to come to this question about the actions he wants to take. You see, it's about national security. It's a very strategic decision that he's trying to make, even though he's going to resist it. He's concerned about national security. Because one, he's already firing the first shot on protectionism.
America first.
Yeah, protectionism. And then following that is raising tariffs and all of that. And then you have conflicts, military conflicts. So he wants to secure the trade routes. It's like our own in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
The
Gulf of Hormuz.
Gulf of Hormuz. Yeah. Look
Or
at the
Suez
transportation costs you reduce by using that.
That's right.
It brings down the cost of international trade. So if you try to do anything there, they will start fighting you and bombing you. So it is a strategic move, which he sees in terms of from the lens of national security.
Yeah, but the point is, will Mexico keep their fingers crossed and watch him?
Well,
and Panama
you might as well ask why Russia invaded Crimea. It's the same thing.
Are you saying he's going to adopt
I'm just saying. In America, Russia was looking at Crimea because of the access to, and the fact that there's a possibility that NATO forces can enter. It's all this. It's strategic. It's about strategic and national security concern. That is why he's pushing that button.
If it's about security, national security concern, experts were saying that he did not put into consideration the fact of TikTok, because it was all about security. Actually, the House has passed it, the Supreme Court says the ban, Trump comes and says, I saved TikTok. And he gave him a very fantastic seat during the inauguration.
That's right.
So if it's about security, what happened with TikTok?
TikTok is, he has reversed it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, so national security, now TikTok, according to Trump, America will take 50% of TikTok. So as far as they're concerned, they will get 50% and they will have an eye, security-wise, on what
That's
TikTok
his
is.
suggestion. I don't know that Chu has agreed with that.
Yeah, eventually they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would say to that is, don't forget, it was Trump that started this whole thing about TikTok when he was.
Yeah, he wanted to ban it. He was on his
he wanted to, and it wasn't just TikTok, whatever you call it, but also Huawei.
Huawei.
That's
He
right.
didn't want Huawei on American network. Even though Europeans and Canadians were saying, but we have our standards for assessing this equipment and we're applying those standards. He said, I don't want it. I do not know, if I don't have the technology to understand what you are bringing in, how can I, that the technology is far more advanced than what they have. So you cannot regulate on a technology that you
Don't know anything about.
is superior to yours. And then he also believed that if they operate in American network, they could have bugs that can sleeping bug in their network. After some years, the bug will wake up and cause mayhem. So he knew why he stopped it. He didn't want it. And he's even prepared to sanction other people who wanted to work with them. So he went that far. On the TikTok, it became more political because it was a day to his inauguration. So there's a political side of it. Please don't keep my people in darkness. Let's talk, and then we can now extend time, but still won't let you still want them out. To have them control over their technology.
All right. Before I get to talk about, there was no way we're going to end this without talking about Gaza because, of course, 3 has been released. They're back home out of the 33. We're looking at 94. We even started with that, all the work that Qatar did and all of. But he's releasing, he says he will release classified files connected to JFK, RFK, and MLK.
That's right.
What's your sense of that?
Yeah, he said there is over-classification of documents in the United States. And classified documents, mostly, they released after 30 years or 35.
50 years,
Yeah.
like that.
But he said when it comes to MLK, JFK, and his brother,
RFK.
yes, it's now over 50 years, and they are still classified. So he wants to know why are they classifying these things for? So he said he is going to declassify so many things.
What does he want to gain by that?
I don't know.
All right.
I really don't know.
Now, okay, let's talk about, because as far as the world knows, this talk between Gaza and Palestine has been going on,
Gaza
backed
and
by
Israel.
US, Gaza and Israel has been going on, backed by US, Egypt and Qatar.
Yeah.
And just at this hour, when he's about to be inaugurated, they finalized it. At least they got a 42-day reprieve. 3 have been released. What's your sense of what has gone down and the fact that they need to maintain this for the second phase to come into operation?
I think in all probability, I would think that they will keep faith with it because Trump wouldn't want that to rupture.
Yeah.
He's already taking credit for this. And so he would want to keep faith.
Which sounds odd.
Yes.
Because
And if anything, Netanyahu listens to him, and he knows that he means it when he said that there will be fire in Soweto if they don't sort something out. So I think he might be able to take it through for more hostages to be released. But listening to every partner in this business, better Qatar or Egypt or United Nations or even, it's still going to boil down to a 2-state solution.
that's what I was going
Whether
to
one state is going to be on the ground, another state on the ground, I don't care. But it has to be. That's the bottom line.
Because otherwise then you
And then you
rupture the old
cannot
one.
wipe a population out completely because some of them will have gone abroad, scattered everywhere. The fight will still continue.
That's true.
Israel has very legitimate concern about security. But so are the others. So it takes two to tango. And if you're lying on a bed, if you move small, the other guy moves, then the bed will accommodate the two. We are so full of pain and sympathy for the fate of Israel because this thing didn't start today. You know how many years and how many, Europe, Germany, whatever. But we have to have a sensible
two-state solution.
It's got to be two states.
So that we can have peace.
Yeah, so that we can have peace.
So many lives have been lost, Palestinian lives.
And Donald Trump professed that he is a peacemaker. So
I was going to say that, peacemaker and unifier. But that didn't seem to be the case during the January 6th hostages war. So one wonders.
No, he is a changed man now.
Change?
Yeah.
All right, we want to see whether he's really a change man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ambassador Hassan Mohammed, and of course, Professor Kenny for being on Arise Prime Time, this special edition on the day that Trump was inaugurated, the 47th President of the United States of America. Well, that's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye, and thank you for watching.